Shalom, Yashala, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Yasharala. Called Haloyim Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakakudash, for blessing our elders with the spirit of truth so that we may know. Shout out to the Akim and the Akwat that's keeping the faith in the work. Shall keep at it. It's your brother Abaya coming at you with more precepts. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 8. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Right? While everybody was paying attention to the slap heard around the world with the Oscars pertaining to Will Smith and Chris Rock, President Biden said something. And what he said could possibly have some major repercussions behind it. This man said, with the slip of the tongue, this man said that Putin cannot remain in power. Right? And Russia heard that. So based off of that, now the president's cohorts are trying to backtrack, right? Try to say he didn't mean that, right? Like he really didn't mean to say Putin can't be in power. What he meant to say is beyond me. But nevertheless, he said it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna let this video play and I'll be back.
Good morning and welcome to Rise. We've got a great show today, Robbie. Right? With no on-screen violence at the Oscars last night. Well, no promises. No promises. Apparently there was a slap fight at the Oscars last night that did not involve David Sirota. I saw the news. I'm like, oh no, David. I'm like, oh, David. Okay. It was Will Smith. No, it was Will Smith. It was pretty crazy.
Look, but real quick, I want to speak on that real fast, right? Scripture said something about what happened last night. That's the beauty of scripts, man. It has to do with all aspects of life. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 6. It says, a fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes. That dude told a joke to the wrong person at the wrong time and caught them hands. Right?
Catching up on it all this morning on Twitter, everybody having wild takes, trying to
What are the takes? How are the politics sorting out in the take world?
Pretty crazy. I'm seeing like a lot of sort of lefty Twitter people being like, because Will Smith was defending the honor of a black woman, it was like okay, and also conservative people who are like, yeah, he should stand up for his wife, but also they don't like Will Smith because, I don't know, they've had marital problems and I think have had like an open marriage. I think they've had an open marriage or something like that. It's not family value. I don't know. That's what I hear. You know, but you can't just like him or dislike him based on whether you like the movies he's in. Obviously, you have to find some deeper meaning in everything he says and does. So,
and for the three people watching this who somehow missed what happened, Chris Rock told a joke
about his wife
and her hair loss through
Jada Pinkett, right? And Will.
Mind you, this show is not about Will Smith and Chris Rock, which shows the point. While that was going on, President Biden said some stuff, right? So what that make the Oscar night? And note, mind you now, the Oscars are filled with who? Actors and actresses. Okay. Call that distraction, man.
Just marched onto the stage and slapped him across the face. A powerful slap. You don't want to get beaten by Will Smith, let alone on television in front of whoever's watching.
To me, the most. Well, I mean, I think the idea that you would set this precedent that it's okay to do this is dangerous to comedians across the country.
Absolutely.
Like, so now somebody's getting heckled in the audience, and the whole point is like heckling in the back and forth, and you insult people, and they get insulted, and you pay to be insulted by the comedian. It's not okay to then walk on the stage and slap them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm very clearly, unambiguously in the no, it was not okay for him to get up and do that. Look, maybe it was not a great joke, it was a tasteless joke, but the Oscars are full of tasteless jokes I don't think are funny. They're rich celebrity people, they can take it. Like, they have good lives, and so no violence, please.
I also thought his statement that he made when he went up on stage and sort of apologized was almost worse, because he if you've ever listened to somebody who's carried out some act of domestic violence, what they will 99% of the time say is that it was love that made them do it. That's like the line from domestic abusers. They're ashamed of what love made them do.
Right.
They just feel too deeply. And that's exactly what he said up there.
Well, some people think he did it as part of a deliberate government plot to distract us from what's going on in Ukraine, and I guess that worked.
Agent Smith.
Agent Smith, we started the show talking about it instead of what we're actually supposed to talk about. So later today, Team Rising will weigh in on Biden's approval ratings, the administration's handling of inflation, and Batya Ungar-Sargon will break down Hunter Biden's latest laptop scandal, which also has a neat little Ukrainian biolabs twist in it. Plus, Caitlin Burns and Natalie Dowzicki will discuss Ron DeSantis' refusal to acknowledge Leah Thomas as the women's NCAA champion in freestyle.
Speaking of distractions,
now we're going to get into Ukraine. So President Biden took a trip to Poland, and he declared that Putin, quote, cannot remain in power, and that was during his final day in Europe in a speech. Let's watch. The media is less trusted and more polarized than ever before.
On one side,
a dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never erase a people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down their will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Now, I know they finna go on and say, well, his staff say he didn't mean that. He meant something else. That is not a part of America's agenda, so forth and so on. But let me remind you, this the same individual that said, this is a new world. And we, speaking about America, are the ones that are trying to be in charge. I'm roughly paraphrasing it, but it was something to that liking. Right? So they know that it's a new world because they are the individuals that are making it the new world. Right? And off of what I've been seeing and keeping up with, America barely holding on, man. These other countries are surpassing them in so many ways. Right? So 1 + 1 always 2, right? If it's a new world, you're trying to be in charge of it, wouldn't it make sense to knock your competition out the way? The same way you've been doing the whole time. You've been a superpower, but now all of a sudden, he didn't mean that. Word.
Former presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard responded to Biden's speech saying, quote, here we go again, another regime change war. The target, nuclear-armed Russia. Regime change is the true intent of Biden admin's policies, which will have catastrophic consequences for Americans and the world. Meanwhile, Glenn Greenwald blasted Biden's words as reckless and said unintended escalation from miscommunication and misperception could be just as bad as deliberate war.
See, the thing of it is, the nations have been paying attention to the daughter of Babylon as of late. And they've been seeing that the same old tricks that they've been using, they continue to do so. Right? It's always in the name of democracy. Like democracy is a superhero that they call on whenever some regime somewhere is getting out of line. They call Captain Democracy, and he goes and destroys the regime and frees the people. Well, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 47 and verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. The daughter of Babylon has been exposed in all of its ways. And the rest of the nations that are not allied to this place, they're not taking it no more. And eventually, according to the scripts, the daughter of Babylon's own allies are not going to take it anymore.
However, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters that the U.S. has no plans for regime change in Russia and added that the U.S. is providing all the humanitarian support we can to reinforce NATO. So I mean, I agree with the critics. Why say that? That is not our explicit goal. And look, I've said this before in discussion with you and with Kim. Kim and I have some disagreements on this. I think if regime change happens as a result of this war, okay, that would be one thing. Is it a explicit goal we talk about? No, because that will not help shorten the war, and the goal is to end the war as quick as possible.
Now, yeah, there will be a regime change at the end of this war. And I'm not talking about no Russia and Ukraine. I'm talking about World War III, because that's ultimately what we're seeing, right? Let me see. Go to the book of Sirach. Chapter 10 and verse 4, it says, the power of the earth is in the hand of Yahweh, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Right? And we seeing that time now. Esau losing his grip. Right? He trying to maintain that thing, but he's steadily losing it. And these prophecies are whooping his butt. All right. Go to verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Meaning it's due. Right? It's due, man, because of all of the wickedness that this individual has done to the earth and everything in it. Right? Verse 10 says, the physician cutteth off a long disease, and he that is today a king tomorrow shall die. Right? The Most High is going to cut out the cancer of the earth. That's the only way the earth can heal. Right? And the king today, which is that cancer, tomorrow shall die. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Malachi 1:4 says that the wicked, or the border of wickedness, is Esau, Edom. Right?
And I don't see, what the benefit of using that language is for the U.S. And then it's clear that was not part of a deliberate strategy. It's just something he said. It was not prepared. It's not the State Department's standpoint. So then it was sloppy and wrong.
Right. And it's another piece of evidence for why war needs to be avoided at all costs. Because when you get into wars, you create opportunities for mistakes like this, and for kind of belligerently driven mistakes. It's not just an accident that he said this. Like it comes from a certain well of kind of hubris that the United States has had for decades. But when you layer that on top of an already active war, then you risk just spiraling this that much further out of control.
I'm going to end with this. The book of Sirach, chapter 20 and verse 18. To slip upon a pavement is better than to slip with the tongue. So the fall of the wicked shall come speedily. He said it now. And them people overseas, they not trying to hear nothing about, well, he didn't mean it like that. And that man steadily throwing sanctions their way, steadily giving aid to their enemies over there, which really ain't their enemies for real, but you know what I'm saying. Steadily giving aid to the ops in their war. Steadily calling them out their name and calling them all kind of villainous characters and things of such. Right? At the end of the day, man, it's a wrap for the daughter of Babylon. Point blank, period. And it's long overdue. Right? Matter of fact, let me see. I'm going to go to Ezekiel. I think that's 35. Yeah, Ezekiel 35. I'm going to start from the top. It says, moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Mount Seir is Edom, is Esau. Right? It says, and say unto it, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. That word perpetual means never ending. So if this place is around for another 100, 200,000, 2,000 years, however long, guess what? There will always be racism. There will always be systematic racism as long as this place exists. That's what script just said. Read that again. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Right? Our iniquity had an end. That's what script just said. So all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It won't go on for another 1,000, 100, however many years. It's the end. Because it's long overdue. And everything that the daughter of Babylon got coming to it, it deserves it. Right? In verse 6, it says, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. Right? I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai Ratazah, these precepts in this video were edifying. Call Haloyim Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai B'Hashem HaRakakudash Shalom Yashala.